Hello everyone and welcome back to my little book nook. I am sitting slightly to the right of where I usually sit because somebody has stolen my spot. Have we not? So today I am going to be doing a March wrap up. I read a lot in March and I'm going to talk about everything that I read. But before we do anything, usually I would talk about the book I'm reading first, but currently I am only 5 minutes into the audiobook of Bookshops and Bone Dust, so I don't think I have quite enough information about the book to be talking about it. The only thing I know now is that Viv has been shot through the leg, so that's all I know, so I can't really talk about it. And also, usually I start the videos with the book I'm reading first, and I have a biscuit. I also don't have a biscuit today. And the main reason for that is I've been trying to eat a little more healthy, so I don't have any biscuits in my home at this moment. So I might just give up on the biscuit. But without further ado, let's get into my March wrap up. The first book I read in March was Paladin's Faith, which is the fourth book in the Saints of Steel series. The Saints of Steel series is a series of 4 books, and every book has its own set of main characters. And Paladin's Faith is about Marguerite and Shane, and they need to stop the Red Sails, I think they're called, because the Red Sails are hunting on Marguerite, and Shane is tasked to go with her to infiltrate, and Marguerite is a vendor in this palace, and they're going to infiltrate and get as much information as they can over some bad guy that they need to stop. And along the way they kind of fall in love with each other. They are adults. I really like that. They are like end 30s, begin 40s. So they're like adults. And it really shows how adult people can be stupid when it comes to love as well. It doesn't have to be as youngins. Like, regular adult people can also be stupid and make stupid decisions when they're in love. I really like that. It was a good read. Man meets woman, both fall in love with each other, both can't tell the other they've fallen in love with them because they don't deserve love. It gets a bit repetitive after 3 books. Like, 4th book, it was good backstory on Marguerite. Marguerite is a side character in book 1. Shane is a side character in pretty much all of the books. But it was a good backstory on Marguerite, but that's pretty much it. It didn't really need to be there. But I think that T. Kingfisher, the book's by T. Kingfisher, by the way. I think T. Kingfisher is going to make books about all the paladins that survive. I don't think there need to be any more. Like, the first one was cute. The second one I had a blast. The third one was completely gay and I loved it. But the 4th one gets a little repetitive. So I don't think it needed to be. But I read it anyways and I enjoyed it. So the first book I read in March was Paladin's Faith. And the second book I read in March was actually a really tough read for me. The book is called They Called Me a Lioness, a Palestinian Girl's Fight to Freedom. For freedom, sorry. And it's co-written by Ahed Tamimi, and she is an actual Palestinian girl who has been imprisoned for slapping an Israeli soldier. And I think it's a really important read. There were some points where I cried. I didn't really know much about the war between Palestine and Israel. I'm not really a news watcher. I don't really watch TV anyways. So I didn't really get all the news about Palestine and Israel. I saw this book being recommended by, I don't remember who exactly, but they were talking about this book and about how this is a very good way of learning about the war between Palestine and Israel. And it caught my attention, so I bought it as an ebook and I read it and it is really, really difficult to read. But it's also really necessary for me, at least, because now I do know more about that war and how supporting Palestine is very important because they are very much being oppressed. I gave it 5 stars. It's a memoir. I don't really like rating memoirs, but this one really educated me and it really hit me right in the heart. But yeah, it was a really sad read. I also got angry a lot during this book because the Israeli people that did these kinds of stuff, that still do these kinds of stuff, they suck. They really just suck. So, but yeah, They Called Me a Lioness is about a young Ahed Tamimi who lived through and is still living through the war between Palestine and Israel, and how Ahed, at 16 years old, got arrested and imprisoned for slapping an Israeli officer after that officer shot her nephew in the head. It is really, really, really good book. I'm really glad that I read it. But if you at any point decide you want to read this, please read the trigger warnings before you do, because I didn't, and I strongly regret that decision, that I did not read any trigger warnings, because damn, this story is dark and heavy and very difficult to read through. But I'm glad I did it. Okay, so after the doozy that was They Called Me a Lioness, I decided to pick up my one of my favorite book series of all times. I reread The Cruel Prince because I flippin' love this series so much. The Cruel Prince is a story about a human girl and how her and her sisters got stolen away to the fairy world by her oldest sister biological father, after that biological father killed the parents. And about 9 years later, and Jude, the main character of the book, is living in a fairy world, Elfheim, where everyone hates her and her sister because they're the only humans and they live among the gentry and they hate them for it. And it's very political. Jude does not like Cardan. Cardan is the prince. He's the cruel prince. Jude does not like him, but they need to work together to fix every political issue that is happening in Elfheim. And there's a lot of death. People die. People get killed. People get threatened to be killed. There's a lot of betrayal. And there is a lot of Jude and Cardan, which I enjoy because they're my favorite. So yeah, I read The Cruel Prince. After The Cruel Prince, I finished the series, so I can just hold them both up. I read The Wicked King and Queen of Nothing, which is the end of the Cruel Prince series. Jude is so strong for what happens in this book. And Cardan, he is just a little love-struck boy. He just wants his girlfriend back. But, yeah, I love this as well. It's just a continuation of the story. And the Queen of Nothing, boyfriend's being an asshole, girlfriend's over it, sister is stupid as hell, and people die. This series is great. I know this is very controversial because not everyone likes this series. I tend to disagree. I love this series. All 3 of these, 5 stars. Definitely 5 stars. All of them. All 3. Okay, so after The Cruel Prince, after my absolute babies, I read How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. Because Jude and Cardan. Normally in The Cruel Prince, Jude is the stupid idiot that nearly gets killed at every turn. This time it's Cardan. This is also a bit of a backstory on Cardan. This takes snippets in time of how Cardan grew up, and the past is intertwined with the present. So sometimes there's parts of Cardan's past, and then the next part is going to be what is happening in the present, and it just intertwines very nicely. It is a stunning book. if I do say so myself. It has very pretty illustrations all throughout the book. So this is a good backstory on Cardan. It also lets you in on how much Cardan actually does love Jude. And how he worries about her sometimes, which is very cute. He's like, okay, you're actually just a good guy. But I read How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate story, and I really enjoyed that too. It's 4.5 stars for me. It's not a perfect 5, but that's just because this needs to be so much longer. This needs to be like 300 pages longer. I need more of Jude and Cardan. But I just really love this series so much. I need to stop obsessing about them. It's getting ridiculous at this point. Okay, so after that whole ordeal, if you think we are done, you would be sorely mistaken. Because I read The Stolen Heir. The Stolen Heir is about Oak. Oak is the adopted brother of Jude in The Cruel Prince. So we are not done with them yet. I really like The Stolen Heir. It's about Oak. Oak went to the human world to find Ren, who is formerly known as Queen Surin in the Cruel Prince series. And Ren has been exiled from Elfheim and is living in a forest. And he is going to the human world, to that forest where Ren lives, to pick her up. Because he needs her help to save his father. Because his father, Madok, has been kidnapped by Surin's mother. And Oak wants his dad back. Ren, I'm gonna just say Surin and Ren interchangeably because they're the same person. But Oak wants his dad back. Ren wants to kill her mother. So Oak basically recruits Ren to find and steal back his father and let Surin do whatever the fuck she wants with her mother. So they go on this journey with Kiernan, which is Oak's assigned guard, who is not agreeing with any of this, but reluctantly goes because he is assigned to be his guard. So he just does whatever Prince Oak wants. But yeah, the three of them go to the new court that has been set up by Surin's mother, and they are going to find Oak's father. So yeah, that's The Stolen Heir. I really enjoyed this. Gave this 4.5 stars. It wasn't a perfect 5 because, and this is going to sound very stupid and repetitive, but the only reason I didn't give this a 5 is because Jude and Cardan weren't in it. I expected them to be in there. They've been mentioned in this. They weren't in it. So I gave it 4.5 instead of a 5 because they weren't in it. If they were in it, this would have been a 5. I might be a petty bitch, but I know what I want, and this wasn't completely it. I needed my babies. So yeah, I read The Stolen Heir and I really enjoyed it. After The Stolen Heir, I'm still not done because I also read The Prisoner's Throne. This is getting embarrassing. I read The Prisoner's Throne, and this was a 5 stars for me. Because guess who were in it? In The Prisoner's Throne, Oak has been a bit of an idiot, and Ren is angry about it. So she keeps him as a prisoner, and Jude and Cardan are in it. So this is perfect. That's all I need to say. That's all I'm going to say. 5 stars, because my babies were in it. I'm so very easily pleased. Just put my babies in there and it's a 5 star immediately. Except for the How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate stories. Because that was too short. I need at least 300 pages of Jude and Cardan. At least. Preferably more. But 5 stars. I also really did like the story though. I did not like how I felt at the end. Because I remember feeling the same feelings in the end of The Wicked King and the beginning of The Queen of Nothing. Because I just needed my babies to be together in the Cruel Prince series, and they weren't. So I was very, very sad. And in this one, I was just like, guys, come on, stop hating each other. I just need this to be alright. I need you to love life, and you're not. So I'm not. I was really afraid of finishing this because I had no idea how this was going to end. So I really did enjoy the story. I did not like the feelings I got from them in a good way, but I really did love this. Which might be also why it got a 5 stars. It's not just Jude and Carden, although they did help. They did really help. The Prisoner's Throne, 5 stars. I'm really sad that I just finished all the stories in Elfheim. And pretty much 2 days after I finished The Prisoner's Throne, I wanted to reread The Cruel Prince again. I have not done that yet, but we should not be surprised if somewhere in 2024 we get another wrapped up video where this series pops up. Don't blame me. Not my fault. I just really like Holly Black's books. Okay, so for the last physical book, it's not the last book yet. I had such a good reading month this month. I'm not going to count the one at the end of this month. That wasn't contributing to my good reading month at all. But overall, it's such a good reading month. Because the next book I read was also a reread. That was The Love Hypothesis. And I still love this. I actually decided to put tabs on there as well as just scribbling inside of my copy. So it looks like a battlefield. All these are my feelings. I just really wanted to see where I had certain feelings. I really did love my reread of The Love Hypothesis. The Love Hypothesis is about Olive, and Olive is a woman in STEM. She is a grad student at, I still think it's Stanford, I still don't remember. So she is a grad student at Stanford, possibly. And she told her best friend that she was dating someone because that best friend is in love with the ex-date of Olive. So she was like, no, it's fine, you can date him because I'm already dating someone else, which wasn't true. And she said she was going on a date, which she didn't go on a date. She went to the lab and she saw her friend. And so she decided very stupidly to just kiss someone square on the mouth. And that person ended up being Adam. Not Adam Driver, but Adam Carlson. Adam Jackass Carlson, as she calls him. And they got to talking and ended up in a fake dating relationship that benefited them both. She ended up falling in love with him. He apparently was in love with her for over years now. But this is very cute, very funny, and I really enjoyed this. Again, I gave this 4.5 stars because I really loved it. And I also just really loved doing this. That was really fun. The Love Hypothesis, 4.5 stars. Loved it. I had such a good reading month. This was a good reading month, but also a rereading month. So the next book I read, I listened to Cage of Dreams, which was the sequel to City of Nightmares. And the City of Nightmares is about Ness. Ness is a girl who lives in a world where nightmares are real, in a way that when you have a nightmare, you actually turn into said nightmare. And Ness is terrified of said nightmares because her sister turned into a nightmare. And not just a nightmare, her sister turned into a massive spider. Which would freak me out too, if I'm honest. But Ness is back with Sai in book 2. Sai is a vampire, a nightmare, which she actually isn't afraid of anymore. She was in the beginning when she met him first. Ness and Sai are back in book 2, and Ness has freed the nightmare demon, the demon that made people into nightmares. She has released him from said nightmares, so now he can wreak havoc on the entire world. But that said nightmare needs Ness's help, so he recruits her to do his bidding. And in exchange for that, he will change Ness into a nightmare, which is very counterintuitive because she's afraid of nightmares and she wants to become a nightmare. But she wants to become the sort of nightmare that doesn't get hurt at all, which could be smart. All hell breaks loose. Nightmares go crazy. Humans go crazy. Everyone goes crazy. The friends of the restless souls are back. The mayor has lost her mind. Everyone has lost their mind. Ness needs to fix things because at some point Sai and Nessa's best friend get kidnapped, so she needs to fix things, and even though she's afraid, she figures out, maybe I should stop being afraid because people are dying. Cage of Dreams was a mess. People are always running after each other, always chasing one another. Everyone always needs something from someone. It is a mess, but it was very enjoyable. I gave it 3.5 stars. I don't like bugs, so listening to these audiobooks about people turning into bugs, it did not do anything good for me, but I enjoyed the story nonetheless. So that says something. There is one more book that I reread. I reread The Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, which is about Amelia, and Amelia is a witch. And Amelia finds her twin sister lying on the floor with a strange man standing over her. And turns out Amelia's twin sister is dead. Amelia is a witch that doesn't use dark magic. But when her sister is murdered, and Amelia finds her sister's diary that has been sealed shut with demonic magic, and she finds a summoning spell, which is dark magic, she decides to hell with it all, and she starts using dark magic. And she uses the summoning spell to summon a demon, so that this demon can help her open this diary. And apparently she summons not just a demon. She summons wrath, which is one of the 7 of the wicked. And the wicked's basically the 7 deadly sins. And wrath happens to be the person that stood over Amelia's sister. So she starts punching him. But after a while she figures out, this isn't going to work. And they strike up a deal. They both need to find this murderer, because everyone that has been murdered, this twin sister wasn't the first, but everyone that has been murdered was actually a witch that was set to wed Pride, aka the devil. There were certain things that I was not agreeing with. When she kicks this dude, when she kicks Wrath because she thinks he murdered her sister, he's like, no, didn't do shit. And she was like, okay, you're telling me you didn't do shit? I believe you. And then he's like, due to the summoning spell you used, I can't lie to you. Okay, I believe you. I'm like, he told you once he can't lie to you and you just believe that? You say you found proof? Where? Proof where? He gave you exactly 0 reasons to believe him. What proof was there? There wasn't any. At least not that I found. Maybe I read the book wrong. Also, Wrath, I liked his character to a certain point, but he also was kind of a dick. If he was addressing her, he would just say, witch. Didn't I tell you to listen to me? Witch? Excuse you? I told you so, didn't I? Witch? Shut up. I'll smack you. There was also this thing where she, Greed, Wrath's brother, they're all brothers. The 7 idiots are brothers. Greed threatened to hurt Amelia's family. That would get you to do some things. Amelia, she has these 2 amulets. One of her own that she got when she was a child, and one of her sister. They were twin amulets, and they weren't supposed to be brought together. And her sister's dead, so she has both amulets. She had to find the other amulet because her sister lost it. But at the end, Amelia was over the fact that Greed had her family in such a dire state. So she got angry and she decided to put those two amulets together. And he was like, oh, you're gonna regret that, witch. Again? But someone else? She was like, leave this place now. She just said those words. And because the amulets are the horns of Hades, turned out, without a fight, they walked away. But according to Amelia, that took so much strength, so much power. All the power she used to do that. Like, bitch, what did you do? You said one sentence and you said it twice. If you used so much power to do that, then I am the daughter of the Queen of America. What did you do? But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this book. I gave it 2 stars, and the reason it got 2 stars was because Wrath could be a cutie. That's the only reason it got a 2 stars. Okay, so on to the last book I read. The last book I read was Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. It was my first Agatha Christie book. I enjoyed it. I had no idea who the murderer was. I did not really feel inclined to figure out who the murderer was. I didn't guess who it was because it could be everyone. So I wasn't like, oh, it's him. It literally could have been anyone. I was just going with the flow. I was just following the story, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it happen. Whoever the murderer is, the murderer is. And I'm gonna be fine with that. I'm not gonna try and put everyone under a microscope and figure out who did it. I'm not Slagatha Christie. Gav, you can have that. I'm not coming for your job. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did not really enjoy the hate towards certain types of people. I'm talking about fat phobia, racism. It's very, you can tell it is an older book. That's an element I didn't like about it. Also, the use of words that we nowadays use for LGBTQ people, like the word gay or the word queer, they were used in different contexts. And my 22-year-old ass could not cope with that. I'm like, that's not right. Gay means gay people. So don't use it for something else. I struggled with that in The Lord of the Rings as well. But that's just a me thing. I'm just a bit of an idiot. Other than that, I did enjoy it. And I did give it a 3.5 stars. I'm not sure if I'm going to read any more Agatha Christie. I think I'm going to just let Slagatha Christie do all the work, and I'll just watch the summary videos because those are very entertaining. But yeah, that was Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, which was my 12th book of March. So yeah, that was all I read. That's going to be wrapping up this video. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you all next time.